Hello there. Here's my first pickups of November. For November, I've this is bleeding a little bit into October, but I'm just adding it all together. As you can see here, this is all I picked up. Not a ton of stuff. Actually, did go to my flea market Alpha, as I've been calling it, the primary flea market that I go to, but it was really cold in the morning and it was frosted over, so not many people showed up. Is probably the lowest amount of vendors that I've ever seen, and so unfortunately there weren't a lot of people there. There were some games there. I saw a few people who had some games. Nothing that I wanted for my collection. Probably two or three people had games. There was like one Wii bundle for 60. Nothing good in it though, so I didn't pick it up. Um, and so I ended up picking just the one thing there, the gauntlet that you see. So I guess I'll just go over that real quick first. So the gauntlet here is the Assassin's Creed Syndicate gauntlet. And this is more kind of like costume stuff. It's got, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it has the UB workshop on it. And actually it's kind of cool as a gauntlet because it has like a little spring thing. The spring, the button there on the spring, it seems like it's stuck or it's just been used too many times because it doesn't always eject the blade. But it's actually kind of cool. Not sure if I'm going to keep it, but it was the only thing I saw at that flea market, and I offered 5 and the guy took it. So pretty interesting pickup though, I thought, just for finding random stuff at the flea market. So the next few games here, these are just pickups that I got coming back from that flea market, and these first two are actually from a few days before. I went to some pawn shops to try to trade in some extra games I had. I found it does actually work if you have some games that you try to trade into stores, but they're not taking it because stuff they already have, low value sports games. I was actually able to go to a few pawn shops and they actually took them and gave me a little bit. So better than I would just gave them the goodwill if otherwise. So I got a little value back on those. It kind of cleared out my extra bin of extra games. While I was going out there, I didn't find too much at the pawn shops themselves, but one pawn shop had some loose games, so I bought a Gun Griffin Blaze, PlayStation 2 disc only. That was $250. Basically paid 5 for these two, and a Soul Blade X PS1, just the manual and the disc. No back on that one. So nothing crazy. Like I said, this was some pawn shops nearby that I'd been to a bunch of times before, so I didn't expect to find anything. I was just there to try to sell. Heading back from this flea market, actually, I got pretty lucky. This is like the first Saturday of the month, and at least in this area, Goodwills have 50% off on Saturdays. So I went to a Goodwill just to check it out, see if they had anything, because I'm not in that area very much. And I saw the 50%. And they actually had a bunch of PS1 games. Some decent titles in there too, which I'm glad they had the 50% off, because these were all originally $6 was the price listed. So the 50% off, it was $3 a piece, which is more my price range. And none of them are worth a ton, so paying $3 is definitely what I wanted to do. Let me go through those real quick. I picked up a stack here. Colony Wars 3, Red Sun. Test Drive 6, Soviet Strike, Disney's Dinosaur, okay. Grudge Warriors, Eagle 1 Harrier Attack, and finally G Police, and that's complete with both discs. So, like I said, nothing out of this world, but I was really happy to see it, especially after I had come back from the flea market with just a gauntlet. I was happy to see some games that I could pick up, and like I said, I got lucky with the 50% off. I went to a few others, didn't find anything I was willing to pick up though, unfortunately. Goodwills are definitely hit or miss, but very happy I stopped and picked up stuff. I love picking up PS1 games, building that collection. Also on the trip, I went to a flea market in the area, an indoor flea market. one that I've been to before. They're one of the places that have like a dedicated video game person, and the prices are usually very high. But another one where I kind of got lucky, they had like a month long 40% off on a glass case. Um, Prices were so high that even the 40% doesn't make it too cheap. But I picked up two games for three apiece: The Lion King for Super Nintendo and Cube for NES. So, once again, nothing out of this world, but unfortunately, it's the kind of place where even a Wii system is like $60-$70 just for a system with one controller, which is very expensive for a Wii. So here you can see this is the second week of November. I had a very good trip today, filming on the same day as Saturday. Went more south to like the Kentucky area. Went to some flea markets, and then I went to some pawn shops and a few Goodwills, and got some really good pickups. I was pretty surprised. The day started off really slow. Like the first flea market I went to, had barely anyone there because of the cold, and I thought, oh, setting the tone for the day, right? Still got to persevere, because as soon as I got to the second one, got some pickups, and then once I started hitting up some pawn shops, I was getting a lot more pickups. Some good stuff. Pretty surprising, it's amazing the differences in pawn shops sometimes, that they just have low prices and a nice selection, because they're trying to get rid of it. They'll work with you a little, and you get some good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first pickups that I have are from a flea market that I went to, and I found few deals outside, a few deals inside. So the first deal was two games that I picked up for two apiece. The first one was a PSP EA Replay, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's got stuff like Wing Commander, Desert Strike, Road Rash, Mutant League, Syndicate on there. So that was pretty interesting. It's complete, and they only wanted $2. I find these like bundle packs really interesting, because sometimes they have some really interesting stuff on there that you wouldn't expect. But $2, I'll pick it up. Picked up Everywhere Road Trip for the PS2. That's complete also. This is one that it's actually worth a little bit, but not a ton. I'd seen some other people picking it up, because I guess it does have some value, but it doesn't matter because I needed it for my collection, so happy to pick that up. Another outside vendor that I found at that flea market had a bunch of NES games. They had a few SNES and N64 games, but they were pretty high on the prices. I bundled up a bunch of games that were around like 8 or 9, and these 3, and I was like, would you do about 3 apiece? And the reason I did that is because the guy came up to me when I was looking through it. He's like, oh, I'll make you a deal if you buy a bunch, which sometimes means that they're willing to go down pretty far on the prices, but he just meant like, oh, I'll give you a few dollars off, unfortunately, which is not really what I was looking for. But so I put a bunch back when he said no, because he was only going to go down a few dollars. It was going to be like $50. So I put a few back, and I grabbed these 3, and I went up and said, you do 3 for $10 on these 3, and he said, I'll do 3 for $12, and so I took it. About 4 apiece. Not super great, but that's okay. I need them for my collection, so about 4 is good anyway. So the first one is Desert Commander. Pretty good copy there. Dick Tracy with the cover. And the third one is Russian Attack. I guess that's supposed to be a play on words, maybe. It's a Russian attack, but it's Rush-in attack. I don't know. It's a fair question on that one, I think. But those are 3 I didn't have, so I was happy to pick them up just to add to the collection at a decent price. The next set here, you see a stack and a controller. I feel like this is still a common theme for me, where I'll get a stack of games, and as I'm looking through it, the person kind of makes it so I have to buy it. This one was even better, because this is the stack Let's see, 7 games here. Actually, there's 8 because there's one loose, and then an NES controller. And as I was looking through it, I'd only looked at a few of them too. The guy was like, "Hey, if you want that stack of games, I'll give it to you for $1. I'm trying to get out of here." So I was like, "Plus the controller?" And he's like, "Yeah, plus the controller." So I was like, "Okay, $1, $1." I mean, it's worth that in the trading credit, so I can't pass it up. It keeps happening to me, but I guess that's what happens, Not the worst thing in the world. Anyways, so yeah, $1. NES controller, it's pretty taped up here on there, so I assume it's pretty wrecked. Otherwise, it's just dirty. But yeah, NBA 2K14 actually. This one has 2K16 in it as well. So I guess it's 9 games then technically. Assassin's Creed 3, and this one actually has disc 1, disc 2, and a second disc 2. For whatever reason, pretty random, but hey, I'll take it. Dark Souls. I guess that's probably the best game of the bunch. This case is pretty wrecked though, so assuming the game works, maybe that's the best game of the bunch. Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway. I didn't realize they had Brothers in Arms on the Xbox 360. Thought that was kind of an older series. NBA 2K17 Legend Edition. Oh boy. Wii Active Personal Trainer. And 2 copies of Cardio Workout. This one's kind of sealed, but it's got some tears on the side. And this one is sealed, but not sure. I doubt it's worth anything. Of course, even sealed. I feel like there is one of the Wii games, Wii Fit games or balance board games that are worth something. I know the cycling game is. There's a cycling game that's worth money. But anyway, yeah, $1. What can I do? The price is just too good to pass up, and it's just trading credit for me. That's really all that is. So starting off my pawn shop stuff, I have another few stacks coming up, but this stack was the first one that I found. Place that had a whole bunch of PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, and Xbox One. That's very common that I see. They don't really have as much Nintendo stuff, but they'll have the current and last generation of PlayStation and Xbox. They had labels on the side for different prices, but when I went and asked them about the PS3 games, they said that they were $3 a piece. So I went ahead and picked up 2. So we'll get started here. The first one is Dynasty Warriors Strike Force. Happy to see that, actually. Big fan of the Dynasty Warrior games, but I hadn't picked up Strike Force. I'm not sure what's different about Strike Force. The back doesn't really seem to give an indication. It just looks like there's animals in it. It says you can unleash the fury to conquer heavily armed fortresses and beasts. So, not sure what that means. But still, good to pick up. I'll be interested to try it. I picked up Dungeon Siege 3. I'm not really much for Dungeon Siege, but figured I'd give it a shot. You can actually see on the side they had 7 originally, so $3, pretty good. Last Remnant. That's one of those RPGs, Square Enix RPGs I'd never tried. I got the Xbox 360 version, so I'm not sure when I'll be able to play that, but that was actually $2, I should say. They had the Xbox 360 in a bin of boxes below their case, and that was in there, so I picked it out. Okay, so continuing my pickups. The 2 on the left here are pickups from pawn shops. Like I said, I kept going to pawn shops and Goodwills, and basically just kind of hitting some major areas because I want to go to them, wanted to see what each one's like, and see if I could get pickups there. So the stack that's on the left here, like I said, is pawn shops. The first one was a place that I marked down as good. They had PS3, Xbox 360 as $3, or I'm sorry, $2 actually, and they had a few Wii games. Most of those were $1, or $2. So I picked out a few that I wanted. The first one was Tenchu Shadow Assassins. These are all complete. Not sure if that's worth anything, but Tenchu's kind of an interesting series, so picked that up. That was $1. PS3, I picked up Bound by Flame. Looked kind of interesting. My PS3 collection continues to grow, but it's just how it goes. I mean, the prices of PS3 is still really good. So if you like PS3 games, or if you have some PS3 games that you've been meaning to play, now's the time, really, because I just feel like I keep finding these situations where they had like about 2 rows of PS3 games, and $2 on all the PS3 games. They didn't have individual prices. Blaze Blue, Continuum Shift Extend. If I pick up a Blaze Blue fighting game, why not? Metal Gear Rising. Not sure what to think of that, but for $2, I'll pick it up. So yeah, it was $7 for those 4. Definitely an awesome stop, pawn shop stop. This one was probably my best pickup. The stack here, I don't know why I'm moving it, but this is probably the best pickup. This was pawn shop that was really awesome, because they had a selection of PS3, PS2, and of course Xbox 360, all at $2. Their PS4 and Xbox One were a little more expensive, but they also had a bin of DS games. They said $5 for each DS game, and I picked out 4 DS games, and I went up there and I was like, I wonder if you'd do 4 for 12, so $3 a piece, and they did it. And usually at those little, you'll see it pawn shops or stores, they'll have like a little plastic container full of DS games. It's usually Let's Ride, Pony, Spanish Teaching, Alphabet, Brain Teaser 5, but they actually had some good games. So not only I probably would have bought them even if they did go for the offer of 3 apiece, but they still would do it. So let me show what I got here for the 12. First was Mario Golf World Tour, Mario Party DS, it's a good one. Diddy Kong Racing DS, and the best one, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Very happy to see that. Definitely any Luigi Mansion, I feel like it's always expensive to find, so I was very happy to get that for $3. No case, of course, on any of these, but still pretty awesome. Pretty happy about that. And I don't think I even mentioned they had. It's kind of funny. They had Wii and Wii U and Wii beside each other, and that didn't have a price on their glass. So I asked, how much are those? And the guy just said, "Oh, it's $5 for the Wii and also Wii U," which is funny in my mind, because for $5 for Wii, well, that's not that great, unless there's something really good there. But $5 for Wii U, that's pretty good. I picked up 2 Wii U games since they were $5. Super Smash Bros. Wii U, which I have a disc-only copy, so that's a nice little upgrade for me. And Mario Kart 8, which I guess the price of Wii U might be going down, so these may only be like $10, $12 games, but still pretty cool for $5 to find some nice Wii U titles. So I got those, and then the last 3 here were $2. Like I said, they're PS2 and PS3 are $2. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. This is like a I think it's like a $12 game. I think I looked it up, but nice pickup. Few for my PS2 collection: Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects. This one actually doesn't have a manual, but that's okay. And Sniper Elite, $2, complete. So that was pretty awesome. I spent $28 total there, but definitely to get some DS games, that's the real surprise, because you know, most places still have those pretty high. So that was all the pawn shops. The next two, or actually, this first one was a yard sale that I got very lucky with. I felt like, because as I was driving from one of the cities to another, I passed and I saw a sign that said huge yard sale on this highway near a storage facility until 3 p.m. And it was like 2 p.m. when I was driving back. And I was like, oh, crap, I might actually make it to this. And fortunately, it wasn't like super far out of the way, so I didn't have to go find it. It was literally right off the highway. So, you know, as soon as I saw it, I pulled off immediately. And mostly had a lot of DVDs and clothing and stuff, as you expect. It was in like a row of storage containers. So I did finally find their games, and they had a nice Wii Sports Resort, Fleet for 3, and also WarioWare Smooth Moves. I was happy to find. I used to play that a lot back when I originally had a Wii. Then I didn't have a copy of it, so also for 3. You know, only bought the 2 games, but still, it was nice to randomly come across the yard sale. The last 2 here actually they're probably some of the more interesting pickups. Maybe not the best ones, but more interesting just because of the fact that these are from Goodwill. But one of the Goodwills I went to had, they didn't have any games in their shelf, but as I walked along where they have, you know, random electronics and stuff, they had just a Mace, the Dark Age, sitting down there, you know. They just had the blue sticker on it, but I wrote the 2 on there just so I'd know. But when I took it up there, you know, they treated it like any other game, charged me $2, so that's pretty cool. I didn't have it, so it's actually a nice pickup for me to get it to add to the collection. This other one was probably the better one, because these collections go for pretty well, and I did pay $2 for this Mortal Kombat collection. You'll notice this actually has 2 copies of Mortal Kombat Deception. They're all in there though, so it's missing the Shaolin monks part of it, but still pretty awesome to find. This one was up in their front case, so I was kind of surprised that it still only had the blue sticker. And when I asked the person about it and how much it was, they were like, well, it's a game, so I'll just charge you the $2. You know, maybe they had meant to put a higher price on it, but they didn't have it, so I was happy to get that. I do have Shaolin Monks, so I'll probably put that in there and complete it, and then I'll just have an extra Deception. Quick question for people. When you have a collection like that, since technically that's one game, I'm using air quotes, should you then have another copy of each game in your collection? I'm kind of debating that, because at least on the shelf, you know, Mortal Kombat collection is there, and then you'd have like the 3 games still. So yeah, that was it. Very successful Saturday.